President Maithripala Sirisena says that he does not accept the facts that the UNHRC resolution on Sri Lanka that the island co-sponsored was signed by the Sri Lankan ambassador. The president was speaking at the opening ceremony of the newly constructed police station in Megahatanna.
At the recent UNHRC session in Geneva, a resolution was presented by Britain and was adopted where Sri Lanka was a co-sponsor of the resolution.
Regarding the land occupied by the military in the northern and eastern provinces, some progress has been noted and further steps should be taken to complete this crucial process.
I
would like to emphasize the fact that we as a government would only accept the accurate facts in the report presented at the UNHRC, but we reserve the right to reject all inaccurate information put forward by them. The report of the High Commissioner says that the land held by the army in areas in the north and east during the war had not been released, and it recommended that an independent commission be appointed to release these lands. I believe the reason behind her making this statement are the misleading statements made by non-governmental organizations. We will not appoint any independent commissions. We will not act according to what outsiders say. We will only act according to our constitution. I must clearly state that under no circumstances are we ready to act outside the constitution, and we will never act outside the constitution. I said that I am not ready to allow foreign judges to hear cases in this country. On the 25th of February, the resolution that was co-sponsored was signed by the Sri Lankan ambassador without my knowledge. The foreign ministry of the country does not know of this. The secretary to the foreign ministry does not know about this. The president holds the responsibility of the country's foreign policy, international relations and international affairs. This cannot be done by anyone below that. I express my strong objection on the move, and I reject the fact that this document was signed. I changed the delegation that was due to be sent to Geneva. However, the delegation was decided upon without my consent. This was not discussed with me. This document was signed after a person who is not a member of the public service in Sri Lanka was sent to Geneva as the Director General of the Reconciliation Bureau. That is how this resolution was signed. I see this as a betrayal of the tri-forces of the country. I see this as a betrayal of the people and the government of Sri Lanka. The address delivered by Tilak Maithripala at Geneva, we wrote that speech from here and asked him to read it there. On print media, there were headlines in big letters that read, Foreign Minister Tilak Maithripala rejects hybrid courts in Sri Lanka. That was included after we held discussions on the matter. If not for the discussions, that was not the address that was to be made. Meanwhile, issuing a communique, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Michelle Bachelet says she stands fully behind the report and the oral statement she made when presenting it to the Human Rights Council, and that she believes it fairly and objectively reflects the situation in Sri Lanka. She adds that she is deeply disappointed by the spin that has been put on her discussion with the Sri Lankan government delegation, noting that other news outlets in Sri Lanka were also continuing to significantly misrepresent the Human Rights Council process in Geneva. The communique goes on to state that an article published on a newspaper on Monday seriously misrepresents her discussion of the recent UN Human Rights Office report on Sri Lanka with a government delegation attending the Human Rights Council in Geneva. She has further said that neither of these claims are true.
We can't, Honourable Speaker, for example, bring legislation to amend the medical ordinance to permit someone who is not a doctor to do a surgery. But if we bring that legislation, even with a referendum and a two-thirds majority, the Supreme Court will never allow that type of legislation to be passed. Now, even foreign medical specialists, when they come here, they have to pass the Act 16. That is a medical exam that is designed to judge their competency in the field of medicine. He might be a very eminent medical specialist abroad, but when he comes here, he must satisfy that criteria that we require is there in him. So in the same way, we don't know whether it is possible to pass legislation in that way. And without legislation, we can't in any case have foreign judges sitting in our tribunals to adjudicate the culpability of our citizens.